Heidi ho, Arkansas Pilgrim here again with a shop tip. Now I have a pretty big shop. It's 30 by 40, and you can see I've got some stuff sort of organized, some stuff just kind of piled up. But one of the things that happens, whether you have a small or big shop, is you have to move equipment around. A lot of times I have to move this table saw, or that chop saw, or that bandsaw. And as you can see, I had to move stuff out of the way. I actually had a men's retreat this last weekend and had tables in here, and actually there's a big screen TV underneath that cloth. But even though I have a big shop, I have to move equipment around a lot because we'll also use this spot right here. There's the big doors. I'll drive a vehicle in here and work on it, which is, that's the thing I hate to do the most. But hey, I know how to do it, so sometimes I have to. I got a saying, the only thing worse than paying somebody to work on your vehicle is not paying somebody to work on your vehicle. But anyway, back on the subject at hand, for the longest time, I've just dragged my table saw around. Well, here, let's just, loud, vibrates. It's not exactly fingernails on a chalkboard. But the table saw is one of the heaviest things I have, hardest to move around. And a lot of times you'll see guys, they'll make platforms for the bottom, or they'll put casters on each leg, or casters that are, you step on them with your foot, and then it engages, and then it unengage it, and it goes back and sits solid on the ground. Well, I didn't want to go to that much trouble, and I've been talking about doing it for a long time. So what I did was a simple board and a couple of casters. And I'm not going to show you, I'll show you how I did it. But I was, I was kind of in a hurry last night, and I went ahead and did it because I'd been thinking about it for a long time. So anyway, I'll give you the pointers on how to do this. Okay, now what I did is just got myself a piece of scrap board. A piece of 1x material is probably good enough. It'll probably need to be 1x6. This is basically what this is. Depends upon the size of the caster you have. But it needs to be big enough to span the legs. And as you'll note, it's got these, mine has these little rubber feet here. You'll need to basically mark around those with the pencil, whether it's drawing the line to cut it for the edge here. You could just leave it laying out like that, but it's going to be sort of redneck looking anyway, but you might as well at least trim it and make it look kind of nice. Then you also need to kind of draw around the bottom with the pencil to where you make marks where you're going to cut out a notch for the leg there. But then the rest of the board will actually be down on the ground. Okay, once you have your board marked and cut, now I just marked this one. I'm not going to cut it because I already made it. You saw it. You need to get a caster. Now I have a bunch of casters. Most of them are left over from old office chairs or something. But you don't want a swivel caster like these that it moves around. It can move around. You want a solid one that'll just bolt and stay straight. And what you want to have also is one that is the wheel sticks out farther than the base. Of course, now you want a good width here because it does have to hold some leverage. But this is the shape that you're going to need. And heck, I'll go back over there to the table saw and show you why. If you look close, and actually, lighting's not that great, but the wheel is actually barely in touch with the ground, maybe a tiny little bit off, when this is sitting flat. And the reason you want that is when you go to pick up the table saw, when you go to tilt it, and I'll show you at the end, when you go to tilt it, it immediately hits the wheels and tilts up and will roll around. So that's why you want to have a caster that is bigger than the base, because the board's tilted, and you got to be able to still attach it, but have this hit the ground. If the base is too wide, the wheel will be up off the ground because the bottom of the base will be hitting the ground first. Now, you can get decent casters for a good price at Horrible Fright. That's Harbor Freight for the uninitiated. They have, go there and check them out and just find one that's going to fit properly. Now here, I probably could have gotten away with a 1x4, but still you want to be able to, you want to have some, well, for lack of a better term, leverage here between these bolts. You don't want it too narrow because there's a bit of load on this. That's why you have a board all the way across, because if you just tried to bolt it here alone, this is gonna bend and snap. This here, the board supports it both directions, and with a board like that, I would say nothing, now that I'm telling you about it, I would say nothing less than a 1x6, because that will give you plenty of strength where it won't snap the board or pull the bolts out or anything. And you're gonna wanna bolt it. When you put it on, actually all I did was I need to go show you a little bit more. My handy dandy clamps, which I also got at Harbor Freight. They're pretty good. When you go to drill the boards out, it's good to actually have something to clamp them on real tight with, right here, like that. See that? Here, I'm gonna take this off again. There you go. You want some kind of really stout clamp to hold it, and you put it on both sides, and then drill all of your holes for your bolts. And you're going to want bolts. The bolts need to squeeze it on there tight. You don't want, with the load that's going to be on there, you don't want screws that might strip out. Screws will be okay for the caster there. At least I think it will. If it's not, if they end up pulling out, I'll let you know. But you'll want big screws, as big as screws as you can get to go through those holes. And actually, if you want to go ahead and use bolts, if you get bigger casters, go ahead. But you definitely need bolts to bolt to attach the board to the legs. Now, I'll show you how it works. All right, you need to move this, tilt it up a little bit, and there you go. You need to adjust it a little bit. I'm not sure why you need to do it that fine. You need to roll it all the way across the shop. You can. So much easier and more pleasant sounding than, don't you think? There we go. So there you have it. Remember, do what you can with what you have where you are. God bless y'all. See you next time.